Well, all right. So yeah, so welcome guys. Welcome back to another episode of It's Puddin's Truth. Oh my goodness. No, wait a minute. No, that's not true. This is It's Puddin's Tea. God dog it. I thought I had it. It's been a while since I've made that state. It's actually one and the same though. So you guys know that already. But yes, but today I have with me once again, she decided to, you know, share her energy and her light with us again today, and I'm very, very appreciative. So we have our international peace activist, inspirational speaker, award-winning author, content creator as well. I'll make sure I share her links to her YouTube. I love her guided meditations there. We have, and she's so much more, you guys. Psychic. Now I know I said psychic channeler last. Is that a correct term? Because every
Yes.
time I say channeler, I think I'm saying it wrong.
No, it's channel.
Okay, so yes, we have Miss Barbara With. You guys, yeah, let's give it up for Miss Barbara With. Y'all, let's give it up
Oh,
for her.
thanks for having me back. Good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you too. Like, thank you so much for returning.
You
So
bet.
did you enjoy the first episode?
I did. That was great conversation. We went on for a while too about it.
Yes. And this time I was like, I'm not gonna hold back like you guys with my episodes. At this point, I'm like, because the platform has changed, and I just seen it where we can record like 2 hours at a time, but we can
Oh,
keep it steady and keep going. So I love that new feature. So shout out to Spotify and Riverside for that. Okay, so yeah, so today I wanted to actually do it a tad bit different because I did get feedback and it was wonderful. Like
good.
I really enjoyed the feedback because a lot of people was like, well, yeah, because you was asking the stuff I was thinking to ask too, and they loved your responses, they loved your energy, so it was very nice, like very good energy, and I appreciate that.
Good. Let's do it again.
I'm trying to tell you. So listen, so I actually wanted to take the time to like pick your brain this time
Okay.
because I realized um of course, I want the audience to get to know you, and they also have to do the work too. Make sure you go check out her books. Make sure you check out her channels that she has. Make sure you check out other interviews that she does. I really love your stuff. Like I really enjoy it, and it's very it's something about you. Uh,
Oh,
it really is like it's very refreshing, and the thing that I really enjoy is that we're two completely different. Like we're strangers.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we're in two different like age groups and things like that. And it's like it still doesn't matter. Like you're somewhere completely different right now too. You're also located somewhere different. So it's like I like the fact that we get to mingle, and get to, share stuff with each other. Like I just nothing against anybody who's doing what I'm doing because we still can learn from each other. It's just that I'm just seeking people who are just doing like just different things, like especially with the traveling. I feel
Yeah.
like traveling is very, very important because it opens you up to so many different like possibilities. And so that's what we're going to go into like the first question, right? So that's the beauty of having someone who is like minded and who's out here kind of sort of on the same frequency or wavelength, I'd say. uh, I've been thinking about some things. Like, for example, my first question is how do you feel or how do you look at the universe as a whole, but in parts? To make that make better sense, I look at it like peeling like onions of onions, pulling the layers off of an onion, right?
Yes.
And it's like you have the different levels, you have the different dimensions, you have different frequencies. And sometimes I'm not too sure if I'm using those terms correctly because it's like the way I look at it, the way that life is built, I feel like it's beyond just this planet. Like I feel like it's more so not so like fairy tale and like Independence Day. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
not so cliche like how they see on TV and the movies. I feel like the same way we have feelings and we're set up a certain way. I feel like those stages also exist beyond what we probably can comprehend in a human brain or body. depending on the situation. But I really just wanted to pick your brain and ask you about it. Like, how do you look at the layers of life? Because I feel like it's one big story. It's just so many different plots and scenarios going on.
Yes, and it's a very complex system. The work that I've done with Einstein, where he has actually basically drawn us a map
Mm.
of how humans come about and how we experience the entire universe.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls it an operating system.
Operating system.
And in his maps, the origins of everything begin in the center of the planet. And in that place in the center of the planet, now he told me this in 2005. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
did a book, Imagining Einstein: Essays on M Theory, World Peace, and the Science of Compassion, and
Mm-hmm.
I just
Okay.
wanted to do this little channel with him to see what he'd say. I had no idea. So when he came out with this unified field theory, which is something that he didn't do in life while he was still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and it includes what he calls the map of human consciousness, because we don't have the whole universe played out with, everything separate. The car is separate, the computer is separate, you're
Mm-hmm.
separate. We don't have that unless we have our human consciousness.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just math. So his theory is that there's this gravitational wave that comes from the center of the planet out of it's almost like a particle that's your own special particle that right now, the math, as we call it, is
Mm-hmm.
like your DNA, what
Right.
space time you're in, what latitude, what longitude, time, which of course is always moving. So all of that math is always, in flux and moving like a quantum field. And it's that information which is mysteriously sort of impelled into consciousness by what he calls compassion as the
Mm-hmm.
fifth fundamental force of the universe. So if we all originate, now imagine this, we're all originating in the center of the earth.
Right.
And out of that compilation that's me comes this gravitational wave that actually makes its way through the earth
Mm-hmm.
and to the surface of the planet. And when it leaves the inner part of the planet and bursts forward into the outer world, it's creating my body
Mm.
and a lens, like, the lens of an eye, how that
Right.
operates. And then everything that's coming up on that wave that I'm supposed to be experiencing gets projected out of my body and
Uh-huh.
then perceived by my body. So we are the integral point of creation in our
Right.
experience of the universe. And in that lens is the whole universe. So is there life on other planets? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look out at the heavens and I see the stars and wonder if there's life out there, it's really just a reflection of what's inside me.
Right.
But it's a
Right.
very complicated system to do that, as you can probably imagine, right?
It
Like
is
God,
like
I call it God, I guess.
you're soothing my soul right now. Like this feels. I feel like I'm swaddled and I'm just being rocked. Like
Oh,
it's soothing me because it's wrecked. Like it's nothing like confirmation, right?
yeah.
And you're saying it. That's why I love that you're here because I'm not sure if I could have just did an episode and explained it as well because that's how I see it. That's how I feel. But I'm not even too sure if I can even regurgitate what I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
Yeah,
I
I
feel the
know. It's
truth. Like,
complex.
well, I won't say like just saying truth because it's based off our opinions. I just so happen to agree because I feel that like that's how I'm shaping it in my mind. Like
Yes.
the way you're saying it. So hearing you say it, knowing that I thought it is just it's relieving.
Oh, good.
It's very relieving. So yeah, so okay, so I've heard the term like a conscious map before, but like I said, you explained it so well. So but you said that now this is something I found interesting when you said that it's something he didn't do when he was here. but after the fact. And so he's still kind of sort of like it still intertwines with that, right? With the different levels and how the frequency and the dimensions shift and stuff like that, because it sounds like he's still like on that same path, right? Still doing similar things to when he was here.
Yeah. And now, just to finish the picture,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody, I know that these are sometimes hard to visualize, but I think if you go out and like pretend you're way out in heaven and you're looking down and you see the whole earth,
Right.
right? And then you can see that wave going from the center of the planet up to where you are, and it creates this lens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that gravitational wave, every decision that we make in our life
Mm-hmm.
collects, it compiles on that wave. So
Right.
if I turn left, all these things happen, or if I turn right, all those other things happen. And all that compiles on that wave. And that wave continues on into the heavens until it reaches the edge of the Earth's electromagnetic field, because the Earth has a field moving from the South Pole up through the North Pole, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an electromagnetic field. And so then we become one with that part of the Earth and actually get pulled back up over the Arctic Circle, back into the North Pole, back down into the center of the planet to begin again. And
Mm-hmm.
this the spinning string is really this miraculous matter of life that creates our human life. So Einstein, when he was in the lens with his body, all that he was doing was compiling on that wave.
Mm-hmm.
So when he couldn't figure out the unified field, or when he became very anti-war, he really was about peace and he wanted to bring the world together in peace.
Right.
All of that compiled on that gravitational wave. So when his body died, so did the lens. So
Mm.
the lens isn't there anymore for him to see, but his string is still spinning. So he's compiled, and this is for all of us.
Uh-huh.
Everything we've done in our lives are compiled on that string, and then when we lose our bodies, we still have that spinning string and that consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
he still wanted to be a peacemaker. He still wanted to find a unified field theory, but now he's in a completely different experience without the physical body. And I
Right.
was just reading the first part of Imagining Einstein the other day,
Uh-huh.
where he was saying, so we're both conscious, but you experience consciousness differently. You are so focused on the physical world, because that's why we're here. That's why our bodies are here, right? To be in the physical world on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
that you're not aware of all the rest of it. But without a body, we experience you like you might experience a dream. So we experience physical reality with these hard, cold facts. But once we pass on and we don't have a body, we're communicating with them. But it's just for them, he says, it's more like a dream than
Right.
a hard reality. But all of that consciousness is still there, still expanding, still growing, still being a part of the evolution of life.
Okay. So, oh my goodness, like I'm really amazed right now because it ties into the second question, right? That I was gonna.
Imagine.
That's what I love it. Like, there's nothing. Listen, when it's just like just divinely guided and just webbed together, I really when I first used to have those, because I no longer believe in coincidences, y'all, but I used to call it coincidence then. When it first started happening, it was like, wow, okay. Well, maybe it's just this, at first you make up something in your mind or you have excuses. At this point, it's just it's happening first of all beyond measure.
Yeah.
It's like the universe all it could talk what's so loud to you. So I mean, excuse me for just fangirling over here. I feel like just such. I love this. I love experiencing this, and I like being in the moment. Because I'm really trying to practice being more present, and I realize that it really does make a better it makes a better headspace for you,
Yes.
and emotionally you have more emotional. Well, I, I'm careful how I use the word control. I have something about that. I'm working on that. But it gives you more emotional control though. Emotional stability, I'd say, because you can't really control it. Like I don't really like having a tight fist on my emotions. I let them flow. So that's
Yes.
why I say I'm kind of careful with the word control, because I don't want people to think that it's something like, oh, I have to get disciplined and I have to feel this way and I'm not going to let nobody make me feel that way. It's like it doesn't always have to be so like strict and disciplined. Just be a little softer with yourselves. So yeah, so I love that this came together so well because I want to go straight into the dreams. Listen, and you guys that have listened to my previous episodes where I talked about my dreams and things like that, it also it ties into everything that you said, because when I'm dreaming, and I talked about one of my dreams that I had on here, where I got so aware when I was dreaming, and it started to feel more like the 3D, but I know I'm dreaming, right?
Right.
And so it felt like I was being sucked in. And it felt like I was about to live that life. Now, it wasn't bad. It was just the fact that, because it was going like a normal dream, it just looked like a dream. And I'm aware that I'm dreaming. And don't ask me why. You already know how dreams are. I was in like a stone tub. It was beautiful. The house was beautiful. The house was like almost made out of the same stone, just like a different color. But I remember the texture, and I'm like, okay, so I'm feeling, my senses are getting, deeper into it, right? And then I'm talking to whoever's in the dream, and then all of a sudden, when I stopped talking, they stopped talking, they walked off, and I just sat there. And I made a conscious decision to be more aware of the room, right? And it started to become so focused, it scared me, and that's what woke me up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it didn't feel like, for about 5 seconds, it felt like I was literally not me here anymore. And I was
But you
the
were
me there.
awake in the dream.
Yes.
Yes, the lucid dream.
And it was so, because I never had it where, because I lucid dream, but that was the first time I went so deep. And it really made me start to look at, like the first question started making me look at layers of the universe a little different. It started making me look at things different, because I'm like, at this point, between that and my dream, the only difference that I actually felt was awareness. It was the only difference. Right? That's the only thing that made those two experiences different. Because let's say, for example, I would have stayed focused in and I would have zoned in and became more of that person in my dream. Who's to say that this wouldn't have started to look like a dream?
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I didn't want to do that, because I'm like, it was so. I was like, oh, now I'm more comfortable with it, right? Because I've had time to digest it, and now I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. But at that moment, I was like, I don't know if I'm leaving me here.
I did a study of lucid dreaming when I was much younger, and
Mm-hmm.
it involved every night before I went to bed, I was sort of programmed myself as I was falling asleep
Mm.
to find my hands in my dreams. And
Oh.
so then I would like fall asleep with this, kind of repeating thought, I'm going to find my hands. And it took a while,
Mm-hmm.
but I had this dream where I was dialing a payphone. That's how long ago it was. And I was in the dream, like was caught up in the dream, dialing the payphone. And suddenly I realized, oh my gosh, there's my hands.
Oh.
And so I shifted, like you said, where I was
Mm-hmm.
looking at my hands, being aware. And then I felt like I had left my body and I was looking down at my sleeping body.
Oh.
And I lived in a place at the time where my friend upstairs was also doing this. And
Mm-hmm.
so in this lucid dream, I thought, oh I have to go upstairs and 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 see and knock on his door to see
Oh.
what would happen.
Right. Right. Right.
So I sort of floated down the hallway of the building, went up the stairs, and I got to his door, and I could even see my hand in a fist to knock on his door. And I got so scared, not like something was going to hurt me, but like you
Right.
said, like what am I going to find in his room?
Yeah. Like, am
Is
I too
his
deep
soul
here?
going to, come out of his body from dream? We're going to
Right.
have a whole interaction. And so then I was back in bed. But That's the kind of expanding awareness of this bigger, much, much, much bigger system than just our human minds
Yes.
perceive most of the time in the physical world.
It's quite intriguing. Like, okay, so part two to the second question about drinks. Well, I didn't really form a question the first time. I appreciate you for forgetting forgetting
Yeah,
where I was going.
we gotcha.
So, like, did you notice as you go through life and you have certain experiences, and I'm starting to realize, y'all, just real quick, as far as like the Matrix and that whole rabbit hole, y'all take your time with that, because I've noticed that that movie pretty much is trying to tell you, like, you got to have the experiences too. You can't skip that part. Like, there's no guidance, there's no movies, there's no books. Like, you still have to put some work in, and it comes with experiences. So yeah, so as you experience more, do you notice that your dream state is changing as well?
You know, it is. It's becoming, I don't know how to describe it.
I
I
know.
used to call it fuller, richer, deeper.
Ooh, okay.
Because long ago, when I first started channeling groups and the psychic sorority, Kim and
Mm-hmm.
Teresa and I, and one of the questions Kim asked was, "Do we always evolve upward?"
Mm.
And they said there really isn't an upward. I mean, there is in the lens of the physical world, but in the rest of it, there really isn't an upward. But what you're looking for is a fuller, richer, deeper understanding and experience. So, like before, when we were young, both of us, or who's ever listening, and we had
Right.
no idea about any of this, and then we started to like learn this, and then we experienced that, and then we learned that, and that led us to this, and we started to have kind of these deeper understanding of what present moment was, more than just being a victim to somebody or having
Right.
these bad things happen. Now we start to go, wait a minute, there's something deeper here and richer and fuller.
Right.
So that's how my dreams have been lately, and especially because I've been manifesting in the physical world
Mm.
things that I have focused on and known all my life was something that was going to come to be. And now here it is happening.
Right.
So the dreams have become
More potent.
deeper, yeah, more potent, more colorful, maybe, and
Yes.
intense, more real. Although I haven't quite achieved that kind of lucid dreaming like I explained about my hands,
Right, me either.
but
Okay.
it is, I love that. I love, and I don't dream as much as I used to, but when I do,
Mm-hmm.
they're almost like I wake up and I'm still in them.
Oh man, listen, I don't know if it's because I'm a good sleeper. It runs on my dad's side. Like, I remember my cousin joked a few years back, and he was like, "I know you got real estate. I know you got so much going on in your dream world. It's like you're a professional dreamer." And when I tell you, I remember majority of them, and I even like sometimes I flash back and remember old dreams, like a past memory almost.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that, and I have a little bit more control when it comes down to my dreams. And it's like I'm getting used to like programming myself as well.
Nice. Yes.
And so I think it's because I think that that's the key to it for me. Why it's getting easier, and it depends, to be honest. I can stand in my own way at times. That's the only times it gets difficult. But for the most part, I think it's because I enjoy it so much. Like, I really have a good time. And depending on, like, if I wake up, depending on what type of wake up I like, it has to, like, I really have to be up. But if I just like wake up like, oh, my throat is dry, I need a sip of water or something like that, I can sip some water and go back to the dream.
Oh, nice.
And I love that I can go back now, because when you, it's nothing more exciting, because it's like it really feels like I don't know how to describe it. It's because I'm just, it's so easy for me to manifest there.
Yeah.
It's instant, and it's I don't know, it's fun because I'm never doing anything like crazy, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I guess it's just maybe it's a lack of, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it, maybe it's a lack of patience. Because
Working in
everything,
your favor.
yeah, because everything's just. But it's never. I'm never doing too much. I really do go with the flow of things, and it's just becoming natural and normal. Which says to me now that I'm saying it out loud, because you guys, you got to learn to give yourself credit and notice where you have growth, because it's never about money or greed or any of that in my dreams. Like I
Hmm.
always manifest what the dream pertains to, and I never go crazy with it, or you know what I mean. Like I never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So I say that says a lot about me, because I figure out a lot about myself too, you guys, by paying attention to my dreams. To be honest with you.
You know, years ago, I
Mhm.
saw on an Oprah show, me and the girls have done this since then. It was a
Okay.
way to interpret dreams, and it was, instead of having a book that tells you a house means this or whatever,
Mhm.
that you write out your dream, and then you take each component. Like, say I was walking out of a house,
Mhm.
and then so you take, so what is a house, and not like, oh,
Mm.
it's a place you live. It's like you're explaining it to somebody from outer space who doesn't know anything.
Okay, so it's a shelter thing, like
Yeah,
a.
it's the place that keeps me safe. Or, and then,
Okay.
what is a knife? And you the whole interpretation is based on what words you choose.
Mm.
And so try it sometime, because when you write it out and then you replace those elements with these
Okay.
descriptors of, like, I was moving out of that place that kept me safe and encountered something that could really hurt me, rather than I left the
Oh.
house and there was a knife, right?
So
So
pretty much digging into your emotions.
yes, and then you can see what, a lot of times it would be telling us, like,
Unresolved
how to
energy
deal
or.
with something that's really going on in life,
Mhm.
or reveal to us, like you said, things that we can't see about ourselves.
That makes so much sense. Oh, I've
Yeah, it
been
was
looking for answers like that.
a really cool interpretation. I've never forgot it too. It was
That
years ago.
I'm so glad you brought it up, because I'm so serious, and I love it that you guys can actually go back and check out my videos too. Because every time every episode where I'm talking about my dreams, that's the one thing I point out. Like I have a lot of gifts, but interpretation, like a lot of my dreams, and I think it's because my ancestors, my spirit guides, my spiritual team. Shout out to you guys. Uh, I think it's because they know, so they give it to me real bold in my dreams. Because I think in my waking life I get it too. But in my dreams, I think it's because I guess because I'm more comfortable in that state as well. So they can really push the messages out there, but it's a lot that goes over my head sometimes. And I don't know, maybe it's because I may think too hard, or sometimes we let fear get in the way. It's something that is the emotional state, or something that we're still harboring that we don't want to let go or accept or get over. And a lot of times when you avoid those type of emotions, you're not really avoiding them, because it creates a little bit more of fear inside of you in a way, if you think about it, and it kind of makes you walk on eggshells we don't need to, and it's just you gotta face it. You gotta face it, bro. Like it sucks. Take your time, do whatever you have to do, you know, at your own pace in your own way, but you do have to face it, because you can, like, unintentionally end up you keep manifesting situations where you have to face it. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we always say that I liked what you said about controlling emotions. It's not like you wake up and go, I think from 10 to 12 I'll do a little fear, and I'll
Right.
get into, from 1 to 2 let's do some joy. You can't control them, but you
Right.
can control how you move them
Yes.
with your breath, and how you not let them attach to those pesky thoughts that are going to
Yeah.
project them into the
Those intrusive
lens.
little.
Yeah, and I think that's how we keep creating. You have this anger, maybe it comes up, and in the moment, in the lens, there's somebody there who you're perceiving as doing something to make you mad, and so you
Right.
get caught up in that drama, and then you don't really ever process it, because you're so focused on the other person and what are they saying, But when we just let it flow, like you say, and we don't let it even marry itself to any thought, just or have a thought. I used to do, when I was really mad, I'd say, I don't need to know why I'm mad. I just need to sit here and feel and breathe it. And then,
Right.
kind of focus on that, releasing
That
it.
makes sense.
And that's control, I think.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Cause you really have to you really do, like, you really have to put in that work. Cause I finally found something that worked for me, right? And I seen this. I can't remember where I saw it. This technique. It might have been on. Who knows? So I was on one of the platforms I use, and I seen a video where the girl was saying that she says it to herself like a melancholy type of way. So in other words, for example, like she'd be like, you like, it's just, oh my goodness, it's nothing I can do. It's nothing I can do to stop the good things that are coming to me. Like, I didn't see the ending coming. So I was like, oh, that makes sense, because when you're in those emotions, when you're in that moment, you don't necessarily have to just cut it off, because a lot of times when
No.
you're trying not to think about something, or like, it's like trying to quit a bad habit, like it's more so just getting it off your mind. So it's just like you said, not marrying that particular thought, not letting these couple up and then have other little thoughts, little children running
Yeah.
around your head, because it can get worse. That's why I say I just deal with it. I'm like, okay, well, if I say, for example, I think for me, it was the forgiving myself. Forgiving others is particularly easy. So it's like, but I can be hard on myself, and I keep letting those thoughts or the memory of something that I did that I need to forgive myself for, I keep letting it roll in my head because I'm trying not to think about it. And it's like you're really just beating yourself up. So I was like, I started doing it that way. So when I did get into that moment and I'm feeling that way, because it's aggravating too when someone on the outside tells you to do it. Like, just be more positive. Like,
Yeah. 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 No, I don't like that at
I
all.
don't,
It's like,
like, they get it twisted when we say that you need to be positive and have vibrate high. We're not saying ignore the things that are going on, or let someone run over you, and because you're a good person, let karma handle. No, sometimes you just need to deal with it in the moment, but you can choose the way you deal with it. And so, because other ways were a little difficult for me to be consistent with, not difficult to do, but the consistency. It's like, so if I'm dealing with depression, I have that, I can go straight to that. Okay, let me go to my skill sets real quick. You know what? No matter what I think, no matter how negative my thoughts get, it's nothing I can do to stop the blessings that are coming my way. There's nothing I can do. You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
I inadvertently have been
Well,
doing it, and I feel great.
and what you're doing is what we teach in conflict revolution,
Oh,
is that, so we have these 3 human dimensions, we call
mm-hmm.
them, and there's the emotion, intuition, and intellect.
Okay.
And emotion, oddly enough, on just a scientific level, on the map, on the
Mm-hmm.
unified field, emotion is really the kind of the primordial soup. It's the quantum chaotic field that makes up all of physical reality. So
Mm.
emotion, with a capital E, is in everything. It's part of everything. So it flows up that gravitational wave from the center, and then
Oh.
it becomes intuition, which is the voice of emotion, which is the voice of compassion, always impelling us to
Uh-huh.
take that next most advantageous step that's going to be for the good of the whole situation, starting with you. So self-love.
Yes.
And then it hits the intellect, which is meant to describe, right? We're looking out, and we don't hear our intellect saying, that is a computer, that is a computer, that is a computer, but that's a computer. So on a scientific level, when the emotion weds itself to the thought of that being a computer, we have the computer created.
Oh.
So
OMG.
we want the whole wave. We don't want just the nice, joyful, high frequency, quote unquote. We
Right.
want the whole wave, because it can create reality. Now, what I experience is what you're talking about, is that when I have deep emotion, it doesn't matter if I'm angry or if I'm depressed. If I'm breathing that through and marrying it to thoughts of the greatest good is coming my way, that's what I'm projecting out. That's what I'm creating and manifesting. Even though
Right.
the emotion itself might seem like it's a negative one or a hard one, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, and God doesn't judge anger. There's no level of more acceptable emotion. It's
Right.
all that we have to move, and it's all that fuels the creation of the physical world. So why not, when you're angry, say something like that? This is part of feeling the greatest abundance that's coming my way.
There you go. Like
Yeah,
it just takes a little
absolutely.
practice. It's nice though. I can't really say that peace is hard after finding peace within myself. It's so easy. Like think about it. If we say for example, if I make a mistake, because I've made a mistake or two, or three or four,
No.
uh, you know, and so it's like you know, if we okay, say we're on the highway, right, and I cut you off, and I end up inadvertently I'm missing, you know, we have an accident, right? If we both are striving for peace,
Mm-hmm.
how could we possibly get into an argument?
Exactly.
That situation, no matter what, if we all are choosing peace in the situation, that like yo, when it dawned on me, it's like I always knew that because I was taught that, but I used to be sometimes in the situation, I'd be the first one ready, like because after so many words, you know, I'm ready to get
Yep.
physical, and it's like now I'm like, yo, why though? Why? And it's like when you look back at the situation, you like it didn't even call for that. Some situations didn't call for that at all, and that
Yeah.
goes back to forgiving yourself because I didn't know any better.
Well,
And
that and also we have this saying,
mhm,
do you want to be right or do you want to make peace?
that
Because
part,
these are entirely different skill sets.
very different,
And
very
when we
different.
want to prove that we're right, then we're working towards it more, debating, like pushing. But if we want to make peace, we already know that we're right, quote unquote,
True.
just because we're here having an experience. That's the rightness of it. Now let's make peace.
Like we really can have
Yeah.
world peace. Like it's
Yep.
super possible. Like it's super easy because it's nothing. I just don't see anything that couldn't be solved.
Yep. I agree.
Because let's say for example, I don't care for my neighbor. So what?
Right.
So what? And I love all my neighbors, by the way, just in case any of my neighbors is. I love
Neighbors
every
are
last one of my
listening.
neighbors. Um, but I'm saying, for example, it's like, who cares? Like, you know, if we don't care for each other, right? And our children are playing, and one set of our children ball goes over the fence. We have children.
Right.
Let them deal with it. I don't have to speak. Even if I don't care for you, I still can at least speak to you for the children, right? So it's just so many different ways. Throw it back. Just throw it
Right.
back. Like have your children throw it back, or have somebody walk it over. One of the it doesn't really. We don't. No children can be involved. It can just be two people that don't really care for each other. That doesn't mean that there has to be trouble. No one says that we all have to like each other. We just have to love each other because there's a big difference.
Yeah.
We don't have to necessarily be all meshed together and get along because everybody's not going to get along to a certain extent. Like, I don't like people who, well, I don't want to say I don't like people. I don't care for smacking when you eat your food.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I probably wouldn't sit at a table with you.
Yep.
You
You
know
would
what I
make a
mean?
different choice.
Like, it's because I think people get that misunderstood too. I was like, you don't necessarily have to be best friends to have peace. Like, and before you know it, though, you will end up being friends because it's a
Yeah.
respect thing,
Well,
and you just
also,
deal with people on different levels. You know,
the
Oh,
things that the things that we don't really like, that we get triggered in other people, I think that's a sign for something
within
for
us.
us. I'm not saying, victim blaming, but like
Mm-hmm.
in conflict resolution, when we get triggered by somebody, we figure out a little sound bite, well,
Mm-hmm.
they're always so disrespectful of my time.
Mm.
And then that becomes my little watchword. Okay, all right, if I don't like it when they're doing it, what happens when
When
I
I,
do it?
yeah, for
And then
sure.
we're like, our ego's like, oh, I never do that. Well, you know what? I bet you do.
I have a
I
family
just
member
bet
like
you
that.
do.
She can, she needs like she needs you 20 minutes. Like she needs you there. You need to be there. She's not so much at all actually. When I say at all, and like will be late and still inconvenience you. Like in that you it will add to the situation, and it's like it's I find it funny because I don't. She really doesn't see it. Like she really, and it's like I don't get mad because she really don't get it. Like I know she really, cause a lot of people think because people are adults, like they know what they doing.
Right.
Like no, some
No, no.
people really don't get it, and then when they do get it, when it really does dawn on them, you can tell. Like you really can tell if someone's doing something maliciously. Like to be honest, like you can feel that. Well,
Yeah,
not
I
everybody,
agree. I
but
agree.
I feel like it looks different. I feel like it feels different when
Yeah.
someone is being malicious. I was like, but you sometimes you get like listen to when someone tells you like the way she argues back with, and it's not just me. It's a few family members that done told her this, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about because I'm already. And I think in her mind she may be like ready, and she has so much things like going on, and I think that she may be like as far as like time is for her, she may be juggling like a lot of things to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she's doing her best to her, and she does care about your time. And to her, she's an hour late, but she could have been 3 hours late if she would have did what she really wanted to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So to
yeah.
her, I'm still being considerate because I could have been way later. But I don't see. But you don't know what it took for me to be this early
Not
late.
late. Yeah, right.
Yeah, like
Not quite that
not
late.
quite that late. So you see how now I can laugh about it and it's a funny quirk of hers as opposed to it being something where I'm not getting together with you. I'm not fooling with you because you don't respect my time. And
Well, and
life is
we make
different.
those decisions like we know, so we decide that
Yeah.
you can't change her. And then with conflict revolution, though, if we take this to another metaphysical level,
Mm-hmm.
is if that trigger, like you have come to embrace, this is who she is. I'm glad she was only an hour late, not 3 hours late, and
Right.
you don't make plans where you think that she's got to be right here because she's that she's
Yeah.
not.
You just move close with her. Tell her it's at 3 when it's really 12.
Exactly. But
Or well, you know what
when
I'm
we're
getting. Or it's at
triggered,
6.
when we're
Yeah.
still triggered by it, where we're, fuming about it, that's when we need to look at our own lives to find out where are we not respecting either our time or somebody else's time.
Mm-hmm.
So we get our focus off of the object of that trigger
Mm-hmm.
and turn it to ourselves. And then when we fix it here, like we go and we use a witness, right, to watch
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And believe me, I've had so many conflict revolution stories about I'm not that way. I'm not that way. I had one, I called it the drunken marketing manager. Because
Mm-hmm.
I worked at this place where this marketing manager was a drunk. You could smell it on her.
Yeah.
And she would give me all this work of hers to do,
Right.
which wasn't really my work, but I was an overachiever. And so I would do it, and then she would criticize me for it.
Yeah, that's.
So I took that soundbite. Okay, I make other people do my work, and then I criticize them for it. And of course, I spent 2 weeks going, I don't do that to people. If I make people do my work, I'm always so appreciative, blah, 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 blah. And I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find that place where I was perpetrating this thing. And so I called a friend, like, who wants to be a millionaire. I called a friend and I said, Teresa, here's my soundbite. What do you think in my life this might mean? This is kind of like dream interpretation, too.
Okay.
And she said, without hesitation, remember the time when you and your husband were separated? and you moved away, and he took care of the house, he paid all the bills, he took care of the dog, he changed the storm windows, he did all of this work that you were supposed to share, and all you could say was that he didn't support you. And when I had that aha moment of, oh my gosh, I was able to go to him and have a conversation where we could heal that piece. I could own up to my actions that created that. And we had this really wonderful deepening of our relationship. And then I went to work and she was fired. So this is the kind of stuff that happens when we do the work this way. Then stuff changes around us that you can't go at. You can't go to your friend and say, hey, look, you're always late. You need to do this. You know, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
But when we do it internally, and this is all, you know, an experiment. It's all a scientific experiment. And what does it hurt to experiment with yourself that way? Next time you get triggered by someone, make a little soundbite about what it was, and then carry that around. Listen to your ego. Say, I didn't do that, or I don't do that. And sometimes it's direct. I know Kim and I, in the beginning, when we were having conflict, it was just a direct mirror. You're not respecting me. You're not respecting me. The drunken marketing manager was not a direct mirror. It was, for me, had something to do way over here I never would have seen or known about had I not done conflict resolution. So, yeah, there's a lot of different layers of how we perceive reality.
It really is. And it's like I've always been really big on accountability, right?
Yes.
And I've always strived to be as honest as I can. And I think that also became an issue because because some people, you know, they try, and like I said, some people like they're trying hard on their end, right? And that's why you really do have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know how hard somebody's trying. Like I said, you can kind of pick, if you pay attention long enough, if you observe long enough, you can tell when someone just don't care. And if you have an issue and you know, tell them about it, you can really tell if someone just doesn't care and they just want to do what they want to do. But I was really big on that, and I thought that I could carry myself a certain way because of those are so-called good qualities. But no, there's too much of it. There's too much of stuff sometimes. It's too much of a good thing. So it's like, even though I was accountable, like I was the type of person where I would admit, like, if I did something, right? But then I'll throw it back on the other person. I'm like, so that's why you can't say anything to me because you just as bad as me. And I realized, like, baby, it don't work like that either.
Right.
You're not fixing two wrongs. I'm not, that doesn't justify me. I had to learn that I wasn't justified just because the person may be worse or because they may be doing the same thing.
That's a good
point.
point.
And I did not realize it until way later. And I realized why I got a lot of attitude about certain things. Because I used to be one of those people. So, and you ain't no better than me. You can't tell me nothing because you know, don't throw rocks when you stay in the glass house.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, you still adding to the problem that's still negative. And like being honest can go too far. Just like not having a filter, like you really can hurt people's feelings. Like I'm the type of person, I'm hurt once I find out that I hurt you.
Yeah.
But everybody's not going to tell you that you hurt them. Sometimes people don't need brutal honesty. So they still need you to be honest and fair, but that doesn't mean just because you're being honest that you should be so blunt sometimes.
Well, because we project.
Yeah.
That's when we project. And Kim has always said that if we truly have non-judgment, like how you were describing, you got to your late friend, you just stop judging her, stop trying to change her, then we can be honest and it will come out with compassion. But when we are judgmental and then we think we have to be honest, that's, and it gets like, and me too, man. I was like, that's like, let me tell you how bad it is that you are making judgments. Like, hello?
Wait, did you do that?
Did I just say that?
And the thing is it's like you have people like they, through the grace of God, they just get it, and they do really love you, and they care about you, and they know it's coming from a good place because they know you.
Yeah.
And you get so used to that where you thinking, oh, I am, because I'm being honest, it's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. No, baby, yes it is, because you're hurting people. And like, I'm the type of person, I want you to be honest with me, so
Yes. Yes.
I treat others as I want to be treated, but at the same time, everybody's different. People need to hear things differently, and I feel like that's you being patient and taking time to know who you're talking to, because
Yeah.
everybody's not built the same. And it's not like, some, I used to be like, oh, I'm not babying you. No, it's not that because some people can't say certain things to you a certain way, some people can. And it
Yeah.
just depends on that relationship that you have with that person. And so, look, man, I had to do a lot of self-reflection. I had to do a lot because
Mm-hmm.
it's always came from the best place possible, though. To those who I owe an apology, I apologize.
For
If
that, we have Ohoponopono. Are you familiar?
Yes.
Yes, it's a simple thing. You say, I just did it the other night with a friend that I had been estranged from, who I had to work with unexpectedly. And I thought, you know what? I just said, Ohoponopono, forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank
Thank you.
you.
I love
I
you.
love you. And
Yes.
that's all we needed. We
I
didn't
do
have
that.
to grind through the details of what did this and you did. It's like, no, let's
Yeah,
just
don't
clear
do
the
it to
air.
yourself. Because when
Yeah.
you, I thought it was part of, it's part of shadow work.
Yes.
Um, but I got to a point where I was truly like giving myself the business like 3 days straight. I was really like down about a lot of once, because it's like that's part of this process too, y'all. Because you start realizing, once you start figuring out certain things, you start realizing that, oh, even when I thought I was right, maybe I wasn't that right, or I didn't have to prove so hard how right I was because I was already right, like in a certain situation. So it's like you really just don't have to go to the extremes, because it even like, I don't really know how to describe it, because either way it go, you're getting upset, and there's two people upset. And it's not solving anything, and then you go off and think about all the things you should have said
Yeah.
or would have said, or the things that they said, and then it changes everything. So it just creates more chaos, to be honest. And no matter how right you feel in a situation, it still feeds off you. It still takes from you a little bit. Not saying that some people shouldn't have words, but I honestly feel way more triumphant when I don't scream
Yes.
and yell.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie to
Mm-hmm.
you. When I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I say what I say, and then if you disagree, you just disagree. I'm not gonna go back and forth. That's just
Yeah.
that on that. Like,
Yep.
and it honestly, y'all, it's way more soothing. It's
Some
way more
people want to
soothing.
fight though. You can
Yeah,
be saying, no, I think you're right. Da, 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 but
yeah.
it's
You
like,
you being
yeah, yeah.
sarcastic, or you da da da. I'm like, nah,
Like,
you got it.
and then when you
You
don't
got it.
fight with them, they get mad.
Yeah, they do.
Even madder. Like,
They
which I rather.
do. Like, I'm not. Listen, y'all. I talked to an ex a while ago. This happened a long time ago. And I really actually did that, and I was like, you know what? I apologize for anything I did wrong in the relationship. Like, I didn't play the blame game or nothing. The calmer I got, the more upset he got. It is like he kept saying things that were supposed to trigger me.
Right?
And that, my friends, is what really made me leave. Like, no friendship, no contact, no nothing. Because I'm like, oh, you're this. Now, see, this is where you're being malicious. This is what you're doing intentionally.
Yeah.
That's when you know someone's going out of their way. Like, this is one of those situations where you're not just angry. You know exactly what you're saying, and you want me to respond. You want me to argue and yell at you so bad. And I'm like, okay, like, I mean, started like, I know just started saying anything to just. I'm like, hey, I apologize. That's all I'm saying.
No.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry you're so hurt. I'm sorry that I caused you pain. But I feel like we should no longer talk, because clearly, if someone is hurting you this much, then you should be apart.
Yes. And
And he was like, he stopped for a second,
what?
like what? I said, if everything you just said is right about me, that's even more reason why we shouldn't talk, right?
Why would you want to be around me if I'm
Why
such a
would you
terrible
want
person?
to still talk to me? And he was like, I don't know what to do. I agree with you. He's like, so you guys, oh, so you admit it? Yep, yep. I admit that I apologize for everything, whatever it is, whatever you feel, because clearly you feel that way. I apologize. He was like, man, you, that's it, bro. Bye.
Yeah.
You running off fumes now. So yeah, I just left him talking to himself. Like it really does feel way more empowering. But not just that, but just healthy. It's way more healthy for me. Like I
Yeah.
don't. It's a lot of things that kind of went away on its own that I didn't even know was tied into anger or past trauma or frustrations and stuff like that. And I've just been taking my time and doing it. I haven't been putting any pressure on myself on when to get rid of the emotions or. And another thing is that when people speak, I really evaluate and observe the situation. Because everybody's not trying to trigger you. But when things happen, everything triggers you because you kind of like walking you walking in fear, and so you don't want things to trigger you, especially if you're used to being triggered all the time, or if you feel like life is just beating you up. You'll tend to only pinpoint the things that match to that frequency or that particular thought pattern.
Right. Right.
And so I had to learn to get out of it. It's a whole lot you have to learn about. I need to look at me. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you start to reevaluate, and I'm not talking about blaming yourself because a lot of times it is other people projecting as well and also mirroring, and they will accuse you of stuff that you're not doing. I'm not saying that you should take that from someone and internalize it because it's not always you. I'm just saying that before you make that decision, evaluate. Go within and evaluate first. Meditation. I suggest Miss Barb was with guided meditations. I
I
really do.
do. I've
I
got a
really do.
really great meditation going
You
on
do.
right now. It's
You do.
so good.
I try so hard not to fall asleep.
I know.
It'd be
I
so
know.
comfortable. And I just look when I do, I tell myself subconsciously I'm receiving it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to fall asleep every time I'd listen to myself channel.
Oh yeah.
It was like clockwork. I would just be out. I couldn't listen while I was driving because I'd get
Uh huh.
super sleepy. And the angel said uh, that was just because that place that's
Mm-hmm.
so big and complex, and
Mm-hmm.
there's this reality of energy. Sometimes it is easier to take it in when your conscious mind isn't in the way going, well, that can't possibly be. What does that mean? Yeah. It's like, just be quiet and just
You
absorb.
do. You
Yeah.
really have to tell yourself sometimes to hush.
Yeah. Get right. Be
I do that, and I
quiet.
do it out loud too. I don't care. I whatever works. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I really, really catch myself. I still catch myself judging people, because it's easy to just fall back into that place. Like when you're looking at a video, um, and it may seem like the situation is being, justified, right? Like you see someone that's getting caught doing something they have no business doing. I'm not gonna sit here. But I have a tendency to watch like certain. It's this guy that catch a particular type of crime
Mm.
with people, and I had to really stop myself. And it's like when you have the social media and the doom, we doom scroll. I'm still working on that too, y'all. I'm trying to read, y'all.
Doom scroll? Is that what
I
you said?
yes, I be
Oh,
doom
God.
scroll because let me tell you, it be 12 o'clock, and I'm like going to sleep, and next thing I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I've been looking at 10-second videos.
I know. What is that?
It's not a movie. It ain't even a whole movie. I was like, ain't no way. So it's like my brain got to be overstimulated because I just watched over 1 million clips. There's no way. But I try to convince myself that I'm not doing so bad because of the material that I am taking in. But still, like I'm trying, y'all. I'm still my point is, y'all. I'm a work in progress. Okay, no one's perfect. But yeah, so I had to really catch myself because the people that this guy sets himself out to catch, right? We all tend to like crucify them. And I was like, this is still not good, you know? It's
Yeah.
still not good. It's an unpopular opinion. That's why I say I'm not going to state it here. It's an unpopular opinion for you to have any type of remorse for these particular type of people. I was like, but if we did, and they felt, not saying all of them, because some people just make bad decisions, and they need to be dealt with in the justice system, whatever case may be.
Yeah.
Um, I think some other people do have issues, and we should look into it because I feel like every problem has a solution, and I feel like certain things can be shaped a certain way, certain environments and things like that, and not everybody is, awful, monster or whatever the case may be. So I just stopped watching it because I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop judging.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm working on that, and so no matter how much I enjoy the videos, I enjoy the upside of it because it does have Of course, it has a bright side to it, right? Because a lot of these people are caught before they even, do
Yeah.
anything,
Right.
right? And then you have some that are like remorseful and they haven't done anything. It's other things, and it's like when you hear them explain or whatever the case may be, you have mixed reviews, of course. But it's like I still feel like we can't have one without the other. Like we can't have peace on this side and not on this side.
Right.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm like, I feel like there's a remedy, and we just have to work on finding that particular solution.
Well, I think not projecting your judgment of even the worst of stuff, whether it's what you're talking about or, some of the stuff that goes on in the world where there are actually evil people who are actually slaughtering people.
Right.
It's really super hard not to get really
It's
mad
so
and have a
hard.
judgment.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's almost impossible, but I think I love the idea, and I do this all the time, because I do what you're talking about, but with other areas. Like I'm totally obsessed with this huge divide politically right now,
Mm.
and I
I
have
was gonna ask you about that too.
yeah, I have a personal commitment that I don't want to be a part of the problem. So I
Right.
don't want to, but I still have my opinions about like which side is doing what.
Right.
But I don't want to inflame the gulf that's already between all of us.
I
And
get that 100%.
that's such an important thing for us to do, to be able to, but you know what it takes? It takes, because this is what happens is, we hold these opinions, what other side you're on, and you really have these firm opinions that this is good and that's not good, and then somebody from the other side comes and says and challenges you and says, yeah,
Right.
well, what about this and this and this, and then we start to go, oh, is my worldview not right,
Right.
or is it? And then we start to doubt because they're saying things, and then it devolves into
Chaos.
chaos. Literally.
Chaos.
I mean,
Because
the past several weeks could have been really chaotic in the world.
I stay away from it as well because it's too sticky. It ain't so sticky. It's too sticky.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't want to add to it. Like some things you just keep to yourself, or you you talk about it amongst people like-minded others, because man, people like, and I'm trying to say this without any judgment, right? But it's like I don't get some stuff. I just don't get. I don't get why we have to be so irate even when we don't agree.
I know.
Because I'm like, I can have a difference of opinion and I can believe something completely different, and we both can still be okay. Like, I don't understand why, because people get, if you want someone to get angry really, really fast, it's not hard when it comes down to that, especially politics. I've always stayed away from, I know me and a family member stayed at a tiny, we was at work one day, and we, mind you, we're amongst friends though. We all knew each other. We all had relationships, whatever. And we shared like one little opinion, and some of the room was divided. Like they it wasn't an issue. It wasn't an argument, but and I guess it's because we all knew each other well. Because I'm pretty sure if we were anybody else that would have said that what we said, then I'm sure it would have been a problem. But it made sense when we both explained it. But you can, you can look at someone and you can see the aha in their eyes, like, okay, like, you see it,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
they see for a split freaking second, almost for a split second, they see it, they like, oh, that does make sense. Like they wires start to connect,
Yeah.
but they still can't let go of what they already got going on. And it's like I always say that, especially here with any of my platforms, I build my things to help those who are seeking. That's it. I'm not here to convert anybody. I ain't here to make nobody believe in nothing. I'm not saying that my opinion couldn't possibly change. I'm growing every single moment. So I'm not always right. And I don't mind being wrong.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's too many possibilities for you to be right all the time. It's
Well,
almost impossible.
I always say I'm wrong at least half the time, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that because it's like I know, like I said, wherever it's coming from, the core of it is love and it's positive. Like, because I don't sit and plan to hurt anyone, no matter what happened or what it seems like. Like, I don't, like if it's in the moment, it was in the moment. After that, like if I'm not the type of person that seeks out, I just don't, I don't care for it really. I don't care for it. Even no matter how much in the moment it may not look like. Because I know some people are probably got into it if they hear this, they're like, really, really. But it's, it's coming, like, I love everybody. Like, I'm that person. When you meet me, that's where I start with you. Unless I sense something, then there's, it's still a love factor there. I love you enough and I love me enough to leave the situation alone if I do feel like, okay, maybe this, because everybody energy don't match either.
Yeah.
And sometimes you meet and mingle and you just don't mesh. That's chemistry. It's fine. You just meant to, your path was meant for you to go a different way. We're not gonna all experience each other at the same time. It just doesn't. But I still have love and respect for any and everyone that I meet. Even
Yes.
if you may not have the best reputation, I go off of how you treat me. I go off of my interaction with you. So that's pretty much it. So yes, so y'all, let's go to question number 3.
Oh, we got to question 3 now.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, to piggyback off of that, everything is just, the conversation is flowing so beautifully. So question number 3 is: do you find yourself looking at people or the world in its entirety differently from when you were younger?
Oh gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. When I was younger, I grew up in a very, very traumatic, abusive situation with my father doing those things that we don't want to talk about. And so that led to, as a adult, I mean, I was very creative. I was a musician. I was writing music by the time I was 12. I was out on the road and rock and roll for 20 years, but I was
Awesome.
also chasing addictions and very unhappy while I was doing this highly addictive lifestyle. And so
Right.
when everything started to turn around and I started to channel, well, I started to channel 1987. And slowly but surely, because really, I think because I had to, I was just so terribly unhappy.
Right.
And that I found this way. And now, today, I was just telling Kim yesterday about this contentment that I feel, that instead of chasing, when I was in rock and roll, I grew up, I was probably 10 years old with a hairbrush in the basement. I wanted to be a rock star. That was what I wanted. And I put everything that I had for years and years and years, and I never really achieved that thing. And I think part of it was because it was never enough. I was supposed to
Right.
be more. I was supposed to be more successful. I was supposed to have more money. And now I'm in a place where I don't, it's like, it's not can I get what I want? Do I want what I have?
Ah, yes.
Can I want what I have and embrace even the worst of it to integrate it and make peace with it and have it be a part of life? And it's night and day from how I grew up, for sure.
Oh yeah. And I love that. Oh, I love that. Because we all have a choice. And it's nice when you come out of that, because some of us, we just don't get a fair shake, bro. You know?
Yeah.
And so I mean, I feel like those who don't get it, I don't feel like it's something that they should force themselves to try to emotionally, like, I I wouldn't want to, cause some people really want you to go in. They want you to go into detail or stuff like that. And I get that they care and they just want to understand, but I'm like, listen, some things you just don't need to know. Some details you don't need to hear. Some stuff you don't need to necessarily feel. Just comprehend that it's something that you can't, you know, and just respect that. Like, certain people go through things, and the one thing I don't do, because I had trauma too, in the past and things like that. One thing I don't do, and that's another thing with other people. They like to. You ever had someone that like to go into like a pain battle, like who hurt the most, like it's a competition,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people that do that, like, I had trauma too, and I did, and I've seen like interviews, I've seen here and there people who went through something similar and was like, well, I didn't make that decision, I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
Yeah.
I I I get where they are in the conversation. Like, I get where they are, maybe somewhat, and not saying this in a disrespectful way, but where they are and the situation. Because I'm talking about a situation in particular, but I don't know the full frame of the story. I only can know from the snapshot of the video that I saw, and she really was like landing on kind of thick about the mistakes that the other person had made, and they both had kind of been through the same thing. I was like, but I don't do that either. Like, I can't, I still feel like that's you still judging.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like you still judging. But I do love I love us that pull ourselves out of the shadows. And I don't think that they should look down on people. I don't know what make me saying this now, but I don't like for people to look down on people who haven't. You know what I'm saying? Because some people
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you ain't been to hell. I was like, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Right.
That's a good thing they don't know. Like, let them live. Like, it's okay. Like, it's only when you sympathize, you empathize with people. That's enough. You know, that's enough. And like I said, you had the other side where they're like, "Well, I need you to explain it to me, because I don't get." Some people don't get when people and they don't when people go through certain things. It's like, we're not making an excuse. We're just explaining, like, these events led to this, and this is what maybe some people. This is what the result is for certain people. Because sometimes there are signs of certain things too. And so
Well,
it's like, I just feel like on both ends, it can be a little sticky. For
well,
lack of a better word, sticky.
y-
But,
I am only responsible for me.
right. True indeed.
And there's two different ways to look at it. One is discernment, where you can say just the objective facts. I left the house at this time. I said this at this time. I did this. And then there's the subjective worldview, which is that's a bad thing. And the projection of intention. Well, you were meaning to hurt me, or so I try to stay with discernment, like what actually happened, and then I'm only in charge of me. So if I have a lot of emotion about what just happened, that's for me to deal with, to feel and breathe,
True indeed.
and all of that. So it because everything's so complex, especially when there's
It,
other people
it
involved.
really
For
is.
gosh sakes.
That's why peace. I ain't gonna lie. When you start with peace, it makes it so easy. Peace is easier because it's like, okay, going back to the first thing that I brought up with the layers. I think that's why it's at the top, and that's why it's also the first thing that I brought up, because I feel like it's an umbrella for other things. Because it really, to me, that right there, and me coming to a better understanding of that, everything makes sense, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like it being so complex and having so many layers makes everything, to me, makes life make sense. Because it's like it's all intertwined. It's all different. What you don't know, you're meant not to know right now until you're meant to know it.
Right.
And just ride, man, ride the ride. No one's ever been on a roller coaster and wondered what was like really around. Like you ride and put your hands up and ride. You know, like
Exactly.
you can't enjoy it if you have you ever been on a ride and you wondered like where it was going. You don't really worry about that. You just know it's gonna go up and it's gonna go down.
That's right.
That is it. But you enjoy it. When you go to the fun part, you don't put all of those things and all these. You don't make it difficult unless you have anxiety like myself. You might make it a little difficult. You might be
But
thinking about some
you might
stuff.
not get on the roller coaster
You
then
might not.
if you
If you
don't
let
like it.
fear get in the way,
Yep.
it's like, why did you come? Why did you come? For the food? We could have brought you the food back. But yeah, so it's like, enjoy yourself. Just go out there and enjoy yourself. So yeah, I found myself, the reason I asked this is because I found myself looking at people and the world differently. And I noticed that a lot of the things that I used to get angry about, I had no business being angry. And it knocks so many things off my list. It makes me look at life different. It makes me look at animals different. Insects, like from the smallest thing. My curtains, I look at different. My lamp, I look at different. It's just, I have a respect for everything and everyone. Way more respect. But I look at the world so different now. And I realized by looking at me, I learned about the world. Because I was like,
Right.
it's impossible for me to, no matter how concerned I am, because when I talk to people now, trying to be better, I'm I'm constantly like focusing on what is coming out of my mouth and how it's coming out of my mouth, like because I care about how I make people feel. And it's just, I noticed that it's impossible to not make a mistake. It's just,
Yep.
it's impossible. It's impossible, especially when someone hasn't reached that particular state yet. And even myself, I can't even say that because I reached this beautiful state of mind, and I still can get caught off guard and be triggered. You know what I'm saying? But it's something that
Yeah.
each time I do is just something for me to work on. But it happening just sheds light on it, right? So I embrace it, but I'm still triggered. Even if I'm coping very well and I'm growing and I'm healing, I'm still, so it's like, if that's possible for me, just think about someone who has no clue what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
And I think the idea is that for us anyway, with conflict resolution, is that this is going to happen till the day I die, but I have a process in place that I process conflict in a way that doesn't project it, that doesn't ignite things. And I'm glad I have that operating system, that process, that I know what to do.
yeah.
Because like you said, people who don't have that process,
Ooh,
I remember not having it. My life
yes.
was
It's difficult.
very stressful,
It's
very
difficult when you don't
difficult.
have it. And it's like,
Yes.
you you end up, you really do, some people make you forget sometimes. But it's easier to remember. It's easier to bounce back, I would say. It's getting to the point where I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get to a point where I barely, like, I'm always noticed, but I think it'll get to the point where I barely even give it a second even thought, even a cheer, because
Yeah.
it's it's interesting to say the least. Because I was like, no matter how good of a person I am, I still have, mistakes that I make. So it's like, I can't, there's no bar to set for anybody else. There is no bar. We just have to flow between each other and just be kind to each other as we do that. That's
And
it.
Kindness is the easiest,
It's the easiest
cheapest thing
thing
you
you
can
can
do. And it has
do.
such a huge impact. I was at the store today and there was a young man, I was doing the self checkout, and he just had he had this huge smile on his face, and he came up and he said, "Would you like another cart to put your groceries into? You know, you're on the
Oh,
self." I never thought
yeah.
of this. And right away I was going to say no. And I thought,
Hmm,
no, that would be a great idea.
yeah.
He was so excited. He went and got that cart. He brought it back.
I love that.
And I just made his whole day by being so kind to him. And I just
Because
think that's so powerful.
he was like, he was trying to be kind to you too. And it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
nice. Like, I've had the past few times that I've went out, I haven't been anxious. And, well, once I got out, I haven't been anxious. I'm always like kind of anxious right before. Um, but, I don't know. Like I've been don't get me wrong, y'all. It's constant coaching that I'm doing mentally as I'm out in my day. Uh, but it's just something about strangers. Are I don't know. They feel different to me now, and I think it's maybe it's not them. Maybe it's because of me.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
just first of all, I like being nice. I
Yeah.
love being kind. I love being nice, especially with my elders. I will take your grocery cart back. I'm not gonna have you walk it back, and it's not like, oh, you're. I don't feel like you're, cause look now, I done seen some others that just look like them's in better shape than me. Okay, so it's like you're. It has nothing to do with it. It's just respecting those that came before me. That's it.
Yep.
I was raised that way. I'm a country girl. I was raised like that. Like some people, you can tell like they get kind of
Oh, yeah.
they get a little offended. Like what you try? I don't have no problem walking. Like I'm just being, I haven't had anyone refuse. But at first, like I don't know, sometimes people they just look like what? Like, and maybe it's because no one's been offered either, you know?
Right.
Because people don't really, they don't really show that. Like, people don't really show that type of kindness like they used to. Because back in the day, like the way I've seen people open doors and go out their way for my grandma, like I love that. But I don't really see that anymore. I'm not saying it doesn't still happen because y'all, people out here doing amazing things, and people are being a whole lot nicer than they put on the internet. People are always saving each other.
Exactly. Don't look at the internet for
You can't,
niceness.
you can't, because it'll make it seem like we're always arguing. We're really not out here arguing. Like,
No, and I traveled all around the UK last winter for about
mm-hmm.
3 months. I traveled on trains with this big 50-pound suitcase. Every single time I had to get off or on the train, every single time. And maybe it's my white hair, but someone said, "Can I get your bag for you?" Now,
Yes,
I'm nearly 70, but I'm
really,
really fit. Yeah,
you look
I've
great.
been. Thank
You
you.
look great.
I've been physically active my whole life. I've carried heavy musical equipment my whole life. Picking up this
Mm-hmm.
suitcase is no big deal for me, but I decided that this is the product of my own energy where I'm
Yes,
so committed to being kind to people
and they return
that
the favor.
they feel it, they return it. And at one time it was a bunch of school kids, were all schoolboys that were on the
Mm-hmm.
bus, like the whole train was filled with these young men who were like between 12, 14, 16.
Oh,
And the one guy stepped up and said, "Can I help you with your bag?" And I said, "Yes, of
oh,
course." And they all burst into applause
oh.
for him. Like, good for you, Johnny,
That's so
doing
cute.
the right thing for the old lady.
I
And like,
love.
my mom used to always pay the age card. She's like,
Right.
"Of course you can carry this for me. Of course you can do this for me. Of course you can."
I love it. I love it. Like I'm not gonna lie. I love seeing elders like say whatever they want. I think it's the funniest. Listen, I've never been in a situation where I was like, "Wow, you're rude." Like I never. If you, I'm sorry. You can, as long as it's not too. I've never seen anyone get carried away. I've seen some people, but I'm like, you're an elder, bro. Like you've earned it. You've earned it. You've been dealing with a lot, and times were not simpler as people think. Like as far as economy. because I know we've all. I love seeing the funny, respectable like generation gap arguments, right? Because each generation thinks that the last one,
Yeah, right.
you know. So we're always beefing. So I think it's cute. But it's it is different. No, we're not the same, but it wasn't supposed to be, and it's supposed to get easier. It's supposed to get easier. So, but I've seen those arguments where it was like, yeah, y'all, the economy was better. Like movies was a quarter at one time. But the thing is, not when you're getting paid pennies. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they make it look like the economy was different, but it all depends, and it depends on how they had things set up. Like everybody had their struggle and their own little time, and everybody had their lessons and stuff like that. So I like that though. I do. So, and it's like I said, it's anybody, everybody. Like if I see a mom who's like got her kids or something, it's raining, and I got an umbrella, I got a big umbrella. It's just me. I'm gonna walk them to the car.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let them get the umbrella and go to the car. I get the umbrella and I walk myself. So. And that could be a young girl. She could be younger than me and they have children, so it's like I just love, assist people, help people, stuff like that. So question number 4. So I wanted to touch real quick back on current events. I was gonna ask you about that. So because I haven't done it in a while. I'm gonna get back into it, of course. I'm gonna get this thing rolling back again on the podcast, y'all. So current events. Now I know some people have their opinion about current events. I know some like spiritual based content creators. They don't like to pay attention to things going on and things like that. I used to be that way as well, but here lately, like right before it was a few weeks before I started doing current events on the podcast, I really started to think that maybe I should kind of pay more attention and observe certain things and certain details. And me personally, I feel like it's the right thing to do at this time for me. Coming from someone who's never did it, I've never been the type of person, and I still don't watch news and stuff like that. I'm still very careful, and I still research when it comes down to a lot of these stories because I have my little conspiracy and stuff too. I have my own little thoughts on these things. So I don't get caught up in the BS. I don't, because it's like you add to the engine stuff. Like being observant to me, honestly, I disagree. I feel like keeping up with current events is, like I said, a good thing at this point in time for some reason. I don't know if it's because the energy shifted or what, but right now I think it is a good idea for me to kind of, do that. But you personally, do you keep up with current events?
I not only keep up, I spend a great deal of time
Yeah.
listening and watching and observing.
Yes. Yes.
And at one point, I did this reading a while back, and it was Einstein, the party, the angels, whatever. And what Einstein was saying was, when we first started doing this work with the psychic sorority, and they were presenting to us that they had this revolutionary way to resolve conflicts inside first as a way to then the byproduct would be world peace.
Right.
And what they said a couple months ago was, when we were first doing this, we were a little afraid of how we could inspire the three of you to take this information, that was coming out of me, and take this information and test it. Like, what would inspire you to take this information and then when you have a conflict, want to go back to the information and say, wait a minute, let's do it a different way. But what they realized was it wasn't them who inspired us. It was that it was the truth.
Oh, okay.
And it's the truth that inspires us.
Right.
It's the truth speaks. So I listen to so much, and I think partly because Einstein and the party are they want to know what's going on through my eyes. They want to see, like, the hearings that I was just watching about what happened last, they want to see those things. And yeah, I still get triggered, but because I have this process, I can get triggered and then deal with it and feel and breathe and do that, and then let the truth come forward.
Right.
And then that's how I find the truth.
Because it's because I think I need to start doing more random recordings on here too, because I channel a lot, and when things come to me, I think I should like go ahead and record it and be spot on. I don't know. That's another thing too. I wanted to talk to you about, like, because it's more of an intuitive thing. It's like I just know that I'm channeling. I may not know exactly who,
Yeah. Yep.
but I know it's not me. You know what I mean? I know it's a part of me. I know it's not me. And I have these epiphanies. I have these revelations and things like that. And I tend to sit on them. And so, like, were you like that at first when you first started? Like, when the information started flowing in, did it seem more natural because of like where you were when it started?
You know, when I actually started to channel in 1987, and it started with spontaneous automatic writing. So I was
Oh, you
writing
did
it,
mention that.
yeah.
Okay.
But I had seen a woman. She was the mother of my friend Mike, and she didn't call herself a channel, and she didn't channel
Mm-hmm.
entities. She just was an antenna.
Mm.
And she always had this beautiful picture of Jesus, and she would
Mm-hmm.
close her eyes and get out of her body and talk all these amazing information, mostly about how I could start to learn to love myself. I mean,
Oh.
there were predictions, and a lot of the predictions came true, but it was really much more about how, like, I was having terrible troubles with my mother, and how to
Mm-hmm.
maneuver through those in love, and how to
So
forgive
how to heal.
myself. Yeah, and how I did it, and
Mm-hmm.
because that was truth, right?
Mm.
That was true. It was truth that what they were picking up about what my relationship with my mother was. They were truth.
Right.
It was truth about how to love myself more. I had that introduction, so that by the time I started channeling, it's like, okay, I know what this is. I've just spent
Ah.
10 years having these readings,
Right.
so I know what this is. But it took me a long time of just Barb with to catch up to that profound information. It wasn't like just
True.
because I channeled it and how to self-love that suddenly I could.
Right. Cause listen, cause sometimes, like, and I think it's a lot of us like that. Like I've always been one of those people that was good at giving advice, but I used to be like really good when I used to hone in, and it wasn't really it really wasn't like those nonchalant conversations where it was obvious. I didn't really know then, cause to me it seemed obvious, right? It got to a point where I started asking, like, how did I know that? Like, or
Yeah.
as I'm saying, I'm like, dang, that is good information. Because it's like it never crossed my mind before being asked or triggered to speak. And I do it. I do it a whole lot when I'm doing tarot readings for someone.
Yeah.
When I'm doing my readings, that's just, and I let them know, like, if we have a friendship or a relationship, I let them know, like, listen, you'll know, but this is nothing. This is nothing personal. Like, and I've never had an issue with it, but I just always make sure I let them know, like, so whatever comes out, it comes out.
Yeah.
Cause like you got something that you might want to keep to yourself that you probably wouldn't tell me, but me not so me right now. So it's gonna come out. But it's never been any discomfort. It's never been any issues, and I'm very grateful for that. Because I can help people because it's it's genuine, and I like that. Cause I'm like, it's really not me. Cause when you tell people that don't really get it or don't really know what you're talking about, like, I'm not possessed. It's not.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's not that I don't need an exorcist or anything like that. Like, but it's so, and I think what I'm pretty much trying to say is I'm trying to connect it back to what you were saying when that that one statement you made is so powerful when you say it's because it's the truth, and that's really what it is. Because when they know for a fact, like, I've never told anyone any of
Yeah,
this. I never.
exactly.
How did you know that? And it's like, and
Yeah.
it makes sense, and it's like I could be clueless. To be honest with you, I can be completely clueless, but the person I'm getting to read to, they know exactly. I'm
Yes.
like, it's telling you that you got the something something, and then I'm like, when we laugh, they're like, oh my goodness, it's like I know I ain't never said nothing like that out loud, let alone to someone else. So like, okay, so it's that thing. It's like, okay, yes, it's because it's the truth. So once I noticed that and I realized like, okay, I really made sure that I kept myself from getting too, you because I think a lot of people can. I'm trying not to judge. A lot of people take advantage. I feel like a lot of people get to a point where they feel like they're good, like, oh, I'm so good at this and that. Because I've had some people, and those people, those type of people, most of the time you see them like in your inbox offering you like readings, and then they'll tell you something crazy first though, like I got a sense that something bad's about to happen,
Yeah,
and you need to
right.
get, because a lot of those people
Hmm.
don't be completely false, like because some of that stuff, a lot of it ain't gonna be some. A lot of that you can't fake because you can't fake the truth.
Right. You
So
can't.
they could tell you some things that could be true, and that's what links you in when it comes down to that certain type. But that's just someone who they may have that gift, but they're misusing the out of it. But yeah, sorry, I ain't mean to go so long with that one, but I do pay attention to the current events and stuff like that, and uh, I'm really going to jump more into it. Um, but like I said, like some stuff I really had to research thoroughly, and I love researching. OMG, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I wanted to be an archaeologist, y'all. When I was little, I just didn't know how to become one, so it didn't. I love searching and discovering and stuff like that. Okay, so fifth question, last question. Um, is there anything that you feel at this point in time, like any advice for the world, anything you think that they should hear right now, anything you feel intuitively to say to the audience, like what would you like to, if they don't remember anything else about the episode today, like what would you like to leave them with?
Well, I'd like to leave them with what I think is really super important right now in the world, because the world's gotten kind of crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and that we cannot underestimate how important the personal work that we're doing
Yes.
is to the macrocosm of world peace.
Mm.
We have a tendency not to be able to go, well, so if I go in and deal with my shadow side, you mean I'm going to help stop a war across the world?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And not only that, in the bigger sort of esoteric sense, but on the really personal, local level, if we go in and do this shadow work ourselves, it completely changes the dynamic of our relationship with our family, with our friends, with our own life,
For
and
sure.
with just the people we encounter on the street. And that then is that ripple effect that goes outward. And when I was really nice to that young man today and he got such a big charge out of it, I infected his life with that, and then that got to be in his life go out in circles to where he was nicer maybe to everybody he encountered. And so I just think that that's the point in my work right now that I think people really need to understand, because I think it inspires me to go in and do that hard work. Like,
Right.
it isn't just me all by myself, it's me. And if you look at our maps, as I explained,
Mm-hmm.
there's a part of our energy that is actually a part of the earth.
Yes.
So if we change our energy, we change the earth energy, and that radiates out on that inner level to all the other
It
gravitational waves.
benefits all of
Yeah,
us.
exactly. So I think that's it.
And that's why I support Miss Barbara, because Miss Barbara's all about peace, bro. You can't go wrong with that. You
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you're so refreshing and soothing. I love you here. I just love having you here.
Oh, I
Like
love
I
you here.
truly appreciate you sharing your time and energy. Cause like I said, she doesn't know me, yo. Like we don't know each other like that, bro. And it's lovely. Like, why would you experience this with us? Like, like, be nice to someone today.
Yeah.
Even if you say, well, I'm not leaving the house, I don't plan on doing nothing, because I'm very introverted too, boo. Message someone. Do something. You ain't even got to do that. You really can watch a video. This is what I do. Like, honestly, uh, it's something that I just noticed about myself. I was just observing myself one day, and I noticed that I, I, I speak good over people. I pray for people. Like, if I'm watching these videos, if I'm doom strolling, um, I wish people good things. Like if someone makes me laugh, if I see something that's funny, I wish them the best. I wish they channel the best. Like even if I don't follow or subscribe, or I mean not really, hey, it wasn't that funny, but you seem like you know you're trying to make people laugh. Like you're adding something to this planet that's positive. So yes, I wish you the best. Like I randomly do that for people. If I know you, if I don't know you, it really don't matter to me. You know?
Yeah,
Um,
me too. I
if I
do.
if I catch myself just one, I apologize. As if they could hear me. Like I just I'm consistently doing things like that, and I love it because I would want the same thing in return. Because I think a lot of us, like when you got that phone in your face or whatever device you have, 'cause we all got a device. It's really easy to get tripped up. It's really easy to get angry. Someone puts up a video that's 15 seconds and everyone's outraged and this that, and third, and then they release a 20-minute video that shows you that you was wrong
Yeah.
for being mad
Right.
at that person.
Where are we going with this, people?
Like what are we doing? We're arguing in comments with each other about 15 seconds of something that was taken out of context.
Right. Right. That we probably don't really know the full story about
we
anyway.
we don't have a clue what really happened, and I'm like, but I have noticed just as much that we're all getting together and being nice and beautiful to each other too, because it's some great content out there, and I see all of us are really like people are really agreeing. People are being more open. They don't show enough of that, but there's a lot more of us doing more spiritual work. There's a lot more of us coming together and like, oh, MG, like the world really is becoming a better place.
I believe it. I absolutely know that.
It really is like it's becoming more enjoyable. Like this new generation, I give it to y'all. Hey, hats off to y'all because y'all not playing either.
Yeah. Oh
Y'all
my
not playing
gosh.
either. They're doing good. They're
Yep.
doing good. Like at first, it was a little. I was a little scared at first. It was some chaos happening, but things have calmed down. I don't know if you've noticed as well, right? But this is what I've noticed. I've noticed that things were going a certain way. I no longer say like the powers that be because they have no powers. If you really think about it, because it's all up to you individually.
Mm-hmm.
So I no longer say that because I feel like it gives it to them. Yeah, I think they give some power that they really don't got. Because if you're really that powerful, you wouldn't have to lie and keep secrets, would you? Wouldn't have to be
Right.
so.
That's not power.
Yeah, that's not power. Hiding it. Okay. Anyway, okay, that's a tough one. But I noticed that it was going a certain way, but we decided as a collective that we are tired.
Yeah.
And we've low key, like, if you guys look, you shall find. You seek, you shall find. We really have been like putting our foot down, and things have been changing, and it's been happening more of in like a background, like loading in the background type of situation.
Yep.
And I feel like it's going to slowly rise to the top, honestly,
I think so too.
because
I absolutely see that.
it's too many things that are adding up and that are coming together. And another thing is they've traumatized this.
Right. Yeah.
They've traumatized people so much to the point where they're kind of numb to the other foolery and tricks.
Right.
The things that used to get a reaction no longer get.
Well, and I've seen more people on my social media feed in the
Right.
past, whatever, however long,
Mm-hmm.
calling for peace. People who
Yeah.
used to want to argue about stuff. It's like it got so bad that people are shocked into awakening of, wait a
Yeah.
minute, no, no,
Like,
no,
what are we
not
doing?
this. What are we doing?
Like, I'm not gonna. This may be an unpopular opinion because I feel like it's just a stage. I feel like it's just like it's phases, and we're just going into different phases, and it's shaping us to be more. Like even after this, right? Because if none of these events happened, if none of these things took place in either one of our lives, right? Would me and you be talking right now? Would we be
Right.
here? Would I have been? Because a lot of the things that have happened have led to me creating this podcast.
Right. Exactly.
So it just all feels like it's just everything's happening the way it's supposed to, and it's going to end in all of our favor. Because I feel like it got so low, it had nowhere else to go but high. If that makes sense.
It does. It does.
I feel like there's no, alpha omega, uh,
Yeah.
it as above, so below. Like I feel like it can't. No, I ain't gonna say that.
Yeah. Well,
I'll say this. I just continue on the road I was on. I just feel like it's going to the point where it's just completely shifting.
yeah.
It's completely shifting, and it's like chaos. You tend to notice that a little faster than you do peace. Depending on your perspective and how you perceive things. Uh, but yeah, I just wanted to leave on a positive note because I do bring up topics here, and we go into things, and we have certain things we talk about. But at the end of the day, I do feel like everything's getting better.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, you guys. So I think we're gonna end it there for this episode. Thank you, Miss Barbara.
Oh,
Thank
thank you
you.
for having me. I just love talking to you. We just
Oh, I love
time
talking to you,
flies and we've gone all over the place and
and I love it because I wanted it to be a little bit more fluid. Because I'm so bubbly and goofy. And you guys already know I'm professional. I was like, but I don't want to be too. I don't want to be like button up. Because I don't like to get too serious like the whole entire time because I'm a laugher and I laugh at things, and I don't want to laugh at something that's too serious.
well, we did good then. I think we did good. We
We did
covered some
good.
deep, serious, hard stuff and then
Yeah.
here we all are learning how to love. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it was very fluid. I think that's pretty much where I like to be I think my style, I like my style to be more like fluid. And that's why I wanted to really ask you things that were really like on my mind. Like, cause I'm trying to learn from you as well. During these interviews, because I don't want to call you on your personal time because I know you're very, busy and things like that. But not just that, but I know a lot of things that are on my mind is probably on the collective's mind as well, because we're all connected.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
usually when I do have these epiphanies, the first thing I want to do is share it. You know, a lot of things I don't want to keep to myself unless I feel intuitively that I need to keep my mouth shut. But
Yeah.
other than that, I think I need to step up a whole lot more and share a lot more out there, because you just never know, and it's nice to be able to have a resource for certain things. And I'm not getting this information. They're not sending this information to me for nothing.
Right.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And yeah, and so not trying to really have tower moments be the things that teach me. Yeah, I'm trying to get out of that. I'm trying to get out of that. Yeah, so I think that was it. I'm trying to, cause sometimes I have this like lingering if something has to come out.
Well, I
I
think we've
feel
we've we've said a gracious plenty.
yeah, yes we have. We really have. So yeah, you guys. So anything else, y'all gonna have to hear it on the next episode. So yeah, so thank you again, Ms. Barbara. Thank you all for tuning in. And you guys, I'm gonna make sure that when I do make my post that I will have Ms. Barbara's information in there so you guys know where to find her books, where to just find her in general. Like she creates content, all that other good stuff, and you guys need to make sure that y'all tune in to her. So yes, so thank you. Thank you all, and I love you all. Love and light. Bye bye.